Hello everyone, it's Mr. Wolfe here, and in this video I'm going to be going over scenario 3. So this is the one with the keto diet. The molecule that we're going to be focusing on in this scenario is going to be, let me bring this a little bit into focus, is going to be glucose. All right, and to get our stage set, right here, and I drew it red again for you guys, it's just going to be in black and white. This is going to be our capillary right here, so that really microscopic blood vessel, which means over here, like this space right here is the inside of my small intestine. So we're really zooming in here. And then remember these kind of like these little hills that we see right here, these are called villi, all right? And just that maximizes the surface area for absorption of glucose. All right, so what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna model the scenario where we just have a kind of like a normal diet instead of the keto diet first. So imagine that you eat a meal, and whether it's any type of carbohydrate you're going to eat eventually is going to get broken down into glucose. So after a meal, right, after maybe an hour or so, you're going to have a lot of glucose in your small intestine. So I'm just going to pour all this glucose into my small intestine. Again, this is from the food that you ate after it's been broken down, after it's been digested. Okay. So first what I want to do is I want to explain why glucose moves the way it does. And if I have a high concentration of glucose in my small intestine and a low concentration of glucose in my capillaries, then glucose is going to diffuse from an area of high concentration always to an area of low concentration. So that glucose is going to diffuse. And notice how easy it is to just kind of, because there's so much contact with the surface, for the glucose to diffuse in. All right, so I'm going to have glucose diffuse into my bloodstream, all right, until about equilibrium is met. But the nice thing is at this point that there has been plenty of glucose being picked up, and that blood is going to carry it to the rest of the body. All right, well, let's reset and let's look at a keto diet now. And there's actually two ways you could have modeled this and I would have been okay with. So let me just get some of this glucose out of the way. All right, so we're going to reset it. Low amount of glucose here in my bloodstream. All right, so if you're on the keto diet, that just means that you are not eating really many carbohydrates at all. I think it's 25 grams of sugars you're allowed to eat, which is like, I think like 1 or 2 chocolate chip cookies, or even just one. It's not a lot, all right? So let's say you're on the keto diet and maybe, you know, you had like, I don't know, like some broccoli. There is some sugar in broccoli, and so maybe here's some of that glucose in your small intestine, but it's not a lot, all right? And here's the glucose that we have in the bloodstream. So you could have done this two ways. You could have said, hey, we're already at equilibrium, all right? Not a high concentration here, not a low concentration here. And so glucose is really actually not gonna go into your bloodstream. I would be fine with that, all right? As long as you're showing that there's equilibrium on both sides. What you also may have done is maybe you showed that there was just a little bit more glucose in the small intestine, not a lot, but a little bit more, and still said, hey, there's a high concentration here, low concentration here, all right? Maybe you drew just some small arrows or just like 1 or 2 arrows that shows like, hey, glucose is gonna diffuse from an area of high concentration still to a low concentration, but it's not gonna be a lot, all right? And that's when you're on the keto diet, you're not gonna have a lot of glucose in your bloodstream.